Okay, so just to give some background and proof of things. So basically, this is something which we included in the divorce, which is about February 12th and 13th, when he tried to cover my face with a blanket twice. He left the mark on my arm. He had slapped my face on both dates multiple times, and it left redness and issues on my face. And that's where you can clearly see the baby's about 3 weeks old at the time, and I had bruising on my arm that lasted over 2.5 weeks. And I do think that it affected my muscle underneath. I think I might have had like hematoma or whatever you call it underneath, because for a while I couldn't have any strength at all to use that arm. I mostly relied on like my shoulder to do so. But he basically said, if you're going to be immature and can't figure out how the other person feels, I'm also not going to act like a human being in an absolute position like I did today, and I'm just going to beat you like a beast until you wake up. So for one, it's a threat. For two, it's him admitting, like today, what he did. Sadly, there's not a date stamp on this, but I do believe I can go back and get it. But this was sent to me after those events in February of this year, 2024. So there's the Korean translation. I did get this notarized and sent to my lawyer. Let me just make sure there's nothing that can identify him here. One moment. Okay, so they're all photos of my son. No name, no identifiers, good. But this is another thing we added in the divorce. This is after I reported his abuse finally, in hopes that he would get family counseling together or something, anger management counseling, anything, just to kind of help the relationship. But basically he had left me at the police station with my son. The police station was through the mountains to another city, and I had no bus card, no money, no card with me. He drove there with me and my son and left us. And he, despite knowing I had no friends in the area, which I got lucky, to have people to talk to about it, but I had no friends. He left us there with no way to get home, and it would have been a 3-hour walk. I had no stroller, no baby hanger. I was just holding my son, and he had half a bottle of formula at that time and 1 or 2 diapers in our diaper bag. So on the left side you can see he's talking about, I need to find the other one where it was talking about how I went to the residence center trying to change the monthly baby incentive over to me, because I basically said, if I can't rely on you not to leave us in a strange place, which people who have a power dynamic tend to love to do. They love to leave you somewhere you're uncomfortable, or you don't know your way back home, or you're vulnerable. That's a part of their power dynamic and narcissism in some sense. But that's for another topic. He left me and my son there, and we had no way to get back home. I went to the residence center once I finally talked, one of my daughters, Yuchiwan, friends' moms, into picking me up, which at this point they had already only been going to the Yuchiwan like not even a month. So I wasn't close with any of the moms. They're, 15, 20 years older than me. We hadn't really bonded very much. So, especially in Korean society, it's very weird to ask someone for a favor like that, so new in a relationship or a friendship. So I was lucky that one came and picked me up. Otherwise, I would have been stuck there longer than the 2 hours I was with no way home. And he wasn't happy that I requested to change the benefits to my name for my son, because I wanted to make sure we were never stuck in another vulnerable situation like that. And he started this whole rant, and this is when him making false police reports, threats to call the police, him starting to do things like stick his tongue out at me and start to instigate events, or trying to be like, hey, do this or I'm going to call the police, and trying to block me in the house started. Like, this is the day before it all started, and he warned me it was about to happen, and I knew it was about to happen, and I should have honestly gotten out of the situation quicker. But when I asked the police for advice if it would be okay to go to a friend's house, they told me that I couldn't do that because that would be considered running away with my child, although they have no problem with my husband doing so because it's his parents' house. I see no difference in that sense. We both have 50-50 custody and should be able to see our son, but they said they don't consider it kidnapping because he technically has 50% custody. I consider it kidnapping and a withholding. But anyway, he basically said, you know, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy watching you miserable, lose everything. There's other messages which you need to find. And basically, what can you do in the residence center? Ha ha ha. I will kick out your kids and their stuff. Let's start a war. I will kick out the kid's name under my home address. You can see there how he says my, because he never ever considered any house we've lived in, even when I paid 50% rent, to be our shared residence, even if my name is on it. He always used that in the power dynamic as well as a form of abuse and financial abuse, you know, threatening to get me kicked out of the house multiple times. So basically, I will kick out the kids from my house. You will lose money too. What else? U.S. citizenship, meaning, you know, signing my son up to register citizenship, you know, birth abroad. Haha, who helps you with that? Me. LOL. So that's just some of his mannerisms. You can see the Korean text as well. Again, no identifiers. This is the day that my mother-in-law, you know, I had gone to the police station trying to go to a women's shelter. They, for some reason, I don't know why this is a part of protocol when I feel like they should have given the victim time to talk to them first and collect herself and figure out what she was doing before calling a perpetrator to the police station. But they did, and they were, you know, they're like, hey, let me just hold your son for a second while you fill out some paperwork or talk to us. And I was like, oh, okay. He was supposed to be given back to me. I was going to go home and leave with him, which they told me I could do. They let the grandmother hold him for a few seconds, and then she put him back in his yomucha, or his stroller. And I was like, okay, well, I've already waited an extra hour waiting on you to talk to my husband. I can go home with my son, right? Oh yeah, you'll go home in a few minutes with him. And then my mother-in-law darted out the door as the police just watched her and didn't even try to intervene at all. And when I requested the CCTV footage from the Miwon-shu or whatever at the police station, they never even sent a rejection notice on it. It's been over a month and a half since then, and they have not given a reason for not providing it, not provided it as well. And I checked what CCTVs there were. There wasn't one in the hallway, but there was one in the elevator, another one downstairs. They had at least 2 or 3 that they could have shown that she went out the door without one of the baby's parents present. So I don't, you know, believe that there was any reason why they couldn't have provided that. It wasn't in a secure area that would have posed a risk to the police to provide that CCTV evidence. So I'm still waiting on that and wanting the excuse behind that. But all respect there. So basically, when I get home, because he had told the police that the baby was sick, which he, you know, barely had a fever earlier in the morning, but he used that excuse to be like, you know, honey, the baby's just gonna go to my mom's house for the evening. And I said, absolutely not. I said no 7 times while begging on the ground for them not to let her to take my child in Korean. And I said I do not agree to it. And the counselor from the Hwasong, like Modu Center or whatever for marital counseling and family issues and stuff like that was like, oh no, he's only going for the night, don't worry, you can get him back right in the morning, just come to talk to us in the morning. I get home that same exact day and all of my husband's stuff is gone. My purse, which was in the yomucha or stroller, was on the table. All the baby stuff, mostly other than a few items, were gone, and you could just tell his parents had darted, grabbed everything in the house they could, and left. And this is what I sent him in my broken Korean. When I got home, I was trying to say, you know, isn't this running away? I'm gonna give this photo to the police tomorrow. And then he mentioned how we agreed upon it, which we did not agree upon it. I even contacted the National Policing Association to file a civil complaint. And she said, you know, we're gonna close the case because the police officers on duty that day stated that you agreed upon him going with your mother-in-law. I said, absolutely not. Check into it again and call me back. I did not agree upon it. to which she never called me back, and she closed the case, which I had proof of filing that as well, right after this had happened, not even a week after. And I have the phone calls. And then he's basically, my husband saying here, I said, let me see. He said, I don't remember saying that, that he was only going for a day. He's going to be here and I'm going to be here at my mother's house until the divorce is finalized, which we had not filed at the time yet. He's just saying basically he's planning on it. And I'm basically trying to say, while stressed and typing, I'm going to give this to the police tomorrow. And he said, anyway, you're living alone in my house with Gia and Yena, so you should pay rent to me. Also, I need Yonu's clothes and property, so tomorrow I will come and take it. So he's admitting right here that he has no plans to live in our residence, which when he filed his restraining order for me defending myself, they had no vacate notice in it originally, and he went and the prosecutor's office allowed him to get a vacate notice despite me providing a whole stack, a whole 10 plus maybe 20 pages of evidence showing that he's just getting me kicked out in order to sell our apartment and pocket the money alone, and also to make me homeless, and also to sell all of the property that I have and he has, some of which was the girls' toys and clothing bought with the child support from their father, that had nothing to do with our marital money at all. So he just gave those away or threw them out or sold them and pocketed the money. And I sent all this proof right away to, I went to Suwon to the with some friends, and went to a PC Bang and typed everything up and had a real order, and I submitted my civil complaint with an extra copy of the papers, and it all typed out in Korean as well, and why we wanted them to revoke the vacate notice, and they said, no, sorry, we can't, but thanks for submitting it. So yeah, and then, let's see, this is January, February, March, April, May 11th. Him trying to, portray the nice guy here, like he's doing me a favor, which he's mentioned this a couple times when talking with me, that I should just let go of the trying to get Yonu back and just agree to his terms of, him getting full custody because he has all this stuff over me and my visa, and he can mess up my visa anytime he wants, and, for the case where I defended myself, which might be true, but, I'm not gonna be cowardly just because of that. And he says, I'm fine no matter how many times, basically saying you can sue me, I can afford the case. Yes, because you have your parents' money, I get that. You also are going to be you're also going to get a big penalty, and basically he's trying to say vast money, you're going to have to pay a lot of money, and your future job might be ruined, because he did make a false Abandonment case against me, which has been proven not guilty at Suwon City Hall and being transferred to be closed out by the police. And I made one against him as well, with my daughter bearing witness, so hopefully that gets finished soon. It is not deniable that you followed the order, meaning the 10-day order for the restraining order he had against me for defending myself. I followed that. I didn't contact him. And I don't know why he said punching, because I slapped him, but that is what it is. And basically your visa is going to be automatically cut and you're going to get kicked out. He loves to rely on using my visa to scare me, but 1 second. And this is April 1st, April 1st, a few days before the choking incident on the 6th happened. He was just, I'll come back to this. Let's focus on messages. So basically this happened back in November 28th before I was hospitalized. I had canceled the babysitter for the day because, I don't even remember. It was just a bad day. And I wanted to spend more time with my daughters before the baby was about to be born. So I canceled it and I went back home early to talk to candidates as my future replacement for my maternity leave for the job. So we worked together at the time, and he basically This isn't one of the times he told me to get an abortion, but I do have evidence of that as well. But basically he's saying, I will never pay a cent to you, I will never pay even a cent for you and the baby. So basically he's saying, because I canceled the babysitter and there was a cancellation fee, which I wasn't aware of at the time, that he wanted a divorce. You know, he came home that day, he slammed the papers down, demanding it, and I said, you know, I'm doing interviews right now. I don't per se mind signing that for you, but I want to process my visa renewal first and, you know, talk everything out before doing so. So just give me some time. I'm working on my recruitment right now for new hires. And I have the video on that, but it was 20-25 minutes of him, you know, me locking the bedroom door and him banging on it, threatening to kill me multiple times, threatening to kick the girls out or throw away their stuff. My daughters were in the room with me, and he was just being very scary, taking like kitchen utensils under the door and like trying to scare me with them. And he basically said, like, I'm really gonna kill you. I'm gonna send you to meet your mom, who my mom passed away late last year, so it's pretty evident where he was trying to send me. But yeah, so I have a video on that, but I haven't figured out how to, you know, use those voice blurs where it's, you know, concealing his identity enough for me to post it. So once I do that, I will be posting that, as it won't give away his identity at all. But yes, so this is the day I ended up hospitalized, and you can see, you know, I'm in my hospital gown on my previous post with bruising to my face. So I got showered down with the shower. I, you know, got slapped. My pants were removed forcibly because, you know, they got wet from the shower, and he didn't like I was sitting on the bed after that. He took a screwdriver and 3 times tried to jab it towards my leg, and told my daughters to call me the B word, you know, a bitch or whatever, to me. And it got to the point where he had my phone, so at this point my shirt was taken off because it was wet. I ran to the nearby Pyeongtaek, and I asked her to call the police, and I went straight to the hospital with my daughters after the police had him walk my daughters to the Pyeongtaek and give my phone to me, which he days later didn't want to pick me up from the hospital. He tried to threaten to leave me in there and make me pay all the hospital bills and leave me trapped in there with no money to get out, you know, from the pregnancy hospital. So this is, you know, the part that I showed you earlier, the Korean translation that's notarized about, you know, I will kick out your daughters, I'll kick out their stuff, you know, who can get the baby his US residence without my signature, ha ha ha, who's gonna help you. Let's see, which one is this? This is just him on one other occasion last year mentioning how much he regrets getting married. Not important that much. Let's see. Here, you know, just to show his way of talking to me. You're a stupid goldfish. I don't know where the English one is in here of that. And then it's blurry for some reason, but this is of him, and I'll find the English translation in these somewhere, saying basically, you know, what would you know about having parents? My parents helped me, and that's why I am where I am in life. And your mother's divorced, so what do you know about parents, you know? And I basically said, you know, my mother passed away recently. Watch your mouth a little bit, or, you know, watch what you're saying. Let's see here. And just to keep in mind, my texts are on the right side, his are on the left side, because it's from Kako Talk, transcribed into a notary. Let's see. And here's the translation of the English one, which I already went over with you guys. Him about the baby money, where is it going? To his mother, that's not important. Okay, this is the day he left me at the police station. I'm on the right side, he is on the left. I said, you know, can you give me money for a taxi home with the baby? He said, let me see. Like, it's your choice to stay there. No, he stormed out and left me there because he lied to me about what the police said to him, saying that we would both get a penalty even though I did nothing. and I wanted to talk to the police officer one more time. So he, at this time when we were sitting at the police station for 2 hours, decided to go home, eat lunch, relax, and go to work. You know, another 2 hours later. He wasn't in a rush to get to work. So yeah, even if you guys die, I will not give you a penny, is basically what he's saying here. So now if you go here, this is my brother-in-law. Basically, this happened on April 1st. You can tell that there's conflict in our house because this is a few days before I got, the choking incident on the 6th that I reported that kind of started this all off again, the abuse starting again after we had moved. And he basically told me, which I have previous messages from last year where he just told me, like, just go to the police or I'll go to the police with you, which was clearly a lie, just to get me to calm down. But this one he says, my brother is passing by, meaning he's stopping at his mother's house to pick up some stuff. So we are having a short talk, but not seriously. She will tell him to be nicer to you guys than now. And he's saying this to me because I asked him, since I don't have my mother-in-law's contact, if he could pass on the word and have her talk to my husband about the fact that when he's mad at Gioriana, he shouldn't pinch or choke them. Because one time my daughter, went to hug her brother. She calls it a squeezy hug. She went to hug him, and she wasn't really doing it where it could hurt him, but I can tell why a parent would be worried. But instead of properly educating her, he went behind her and chokeholded her and pulled her up and said, how does that feel? Do you like that? That's the same thing he feels. And he would just pinch her around this time whenever she would, like, do something he worried about to the baby, like overly excited, or hugging on him or something. Let me see. Let's see. And I have more messages between me and my brother-in-law about, when I was in the hospital and what to do. And we talked one time at his mother's house when I was visiting his mother's house, and his brother came and talked to me and said, he's not my brother if he's going to hit his wife, and I'll go to the police with you. Which I believe is all a front, but so the whole family, my mother-in-law did come over once, and I talked to her. She came to talk to both of us. She listened to both of our sides of the story, but he basically was like, in Korean to her, he said, I forget how to say it in Korean. I'm just so tired right now. Like, I don't want to hit her, but when she nags me, it just annoys me so much. I can't promise I won't hit her again, because that's all I was wanting, is him to promise he's not going to do it again. And she's like, oh, so you just don't want her to nag you? And I said, oh my gosh, like, why are you even, like, giving him any room to make excuses right now? Like, this is not okay. You're a woman too. Like, you shouldn't be letting him have room or excuses to hit someone. It's never okay to hit someone. And then he's like, see, Mom, like, this is what I mean. Look at her, like, Jansori right now. And I said, I'm not, like, my voice is heightened. Like, you can hear my emotion, but I'm not yelling right now. I'm just in shock right now. Like, this is not okay. And this was the extent that my voice was raised. And I think that's when I kind of knew that the family wasn't gonna actually treat me as family or respect me as a human, because just anyone who can sit there and defend brutally hitting someone just for the sake of being annoyed is not gonna have respect for you as a person. But anyway, and after I got my restraining order, the restraining order eventually dropped off, even though I requested for the police to extend it. And he got his restraining order and tried to get the vacate notice for me to get kicked out around this time in the video you see here. And I told the police, he's not living here. He's not lived here for a month and a half. He willingly left. And then I had a restraining order as well. He's not here. Why do I have to vacate when he's staying at his mom's? And they said, well, his legal address is here. And I said, yes, but he's staying at his mom's, and I don't have another place to go, so you're agreeing to make me homeless just for the sake of keeping peace with him? And now tell me, if he's really a victim, why would a victim actively go somewhere they hadn't been in a month and a half keep ringing the doorbell, which this is only one video, but he did it for over like 30 minutes all the way until past midnight, 30 minutes plus of ringing the doorbell, trying to get me to come out and open the door. To me, that right there just proves, who has the power dynamic in the situation and who's really the victim. But I'll play it here for you guys. Okay, it's done there. I'll listen again. Hang on. Okay. At one point you can tell he's agitated and he just keeps ringing it because I didn't reply and I didn't answer. So at this point I'm pretty scared. Mm-hmm. It's done. I'll wait. I know there was 2 other ones where he really started ringing the bell, but I can't find them. Now, who rings the bell that much when it's almost midnight? If they're, really the victim in the situation and they don't want to see you, No, tell me. I don't know. I'm just saying, who should be more scared in the situation? Okay, it's done. Now let's see if he does it again. Not even a minute later, already ringing the bell. That should be considered harassment in my opinion, because I wasn't actively bothering him. I wasn't going to bother him. I wasn't interacting with him, and he's the one who showed up and started ringing the doorbell for, an hour and a half. Or not an hour, sorry. Half an hour or more. Half an hour to an hour. Say more about 40 minutes. I'm not going to over exaggerate.